Okay, now we'll call our meeting to order and entertain a motion for the claims and the minutes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the Pearston and Washington Township Library Board.
They're not here, but they did send a letter and asked that, this person replace the current member to serve out the term. So Katie Wonderly is willing to serve.
So she's willing to serve and they want her to serve?
Yes.
That's pretty.
Second that.
Okay, any questions or discussion? All's in favor? Aye?
Aye.
All right. Barry.
Morning, everybody.
Hello
Morning,
there.
Just two quick things. It's that time of year. Our grant cycle opens at the end of February, so I'm just here asking for your blessing to apply for the two grants that you see in front of you. I'll be going to the council, I think it's next month, so you're my first stop in my tour. And then the second thing is I received a last-minute request for an appointment to the Indiana Council or Community Corrections Association as a voting member for their board of directors, and apparently they need a signature from the commissioners so I can send that letter in. And so I politely asked the boss here if that would be okay to address that this morning, and she gave me her blessing. Hopefully you guys would be willing to look that letter over and put your John Hancocks on it when you get a minute. So.
Okay. Do you have a copy of that, Ed, or do you want?
I have,
You do have a copy?
Yeah.
That's good?
yes.
Okay, so we'll do two separate motions, if that's okay, instead of three?
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I'll make
entertain
a motion
to
on
approve the two
approving the
grants.
two grants.
I make the motion we
Let's-
on
let's-
the signature for the,
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so on the first one, Carrie's motion, any questions or discussion?
No,
All's in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then on Bob's motion for approving that, did you?
I'll second that.
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
Okay, congratulations on that. That's an
Thank you.
honor.
Thanks, gentlemen. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. All right, Chris. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. I'm here this morning to present to you an application for us to apply for the Indiana Department of Natural Resources Marine Patrol Assistance Grant. It's a grant that we participated in since the inception of the grant itself through the DNR. What it does is it supplements our budgets for the actual lake patrol that we do here in Kosciuszko County. The grant itself is for $15,000, which $12,500 of it is for the enforcement, which would actually pay for officers to be on the lake, and $2,500 is for the boat slip for the boat that we have on Wawasee. We also have a boat on Tippy as well, but that is taken care of without the grant funding. Provide over 500 hours of patrol on the lakes, along with the services that we provide actually through our funding for training of the lake patrol and things like that. That's how the grant's supplemented.
make a motion we accept his request for both grants.
Second that.
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. They pulled the second
Well, if I don't want it,
one. Okay, Kyle. The Sewers,
yours is not.
good morning.
Good morning. I'm Steve Henshin with Jones Petrie Rufinski, and that's Kyle sitting there with me. And we're here on behalf of the Tippecanoe Chapman Regional Sewer District. We have before you today two applications for inclusion of territory. We've been to you several times in the past. These are individual lot petitions. Both of these are voluntary from the property owners who wish to now be included in the project. I'll quickly walk through. The first one is the Kathy Stouffer Family Trust. This is an undeveloped lot near Forest Glen and Stanton Road. They're expecting to build in the next few years, and they have agreed to pay debt service portion of the project to have a grinder station installed on their property. Since this request came to the district before we started construction, the district has indicated if the funding agency allows, the costs of that service, which is about $31,000, would be included in the project, not necessarily borne by the property owner. So with that, that's the first one. The second one is on Chapman Lake, and it is John and Amber McDowell. Their property is immediately adjacent to the district. When the district boundaries were divided up on this area on C-29, C-29A, there's the lakefront or channel front properties and houses across the road. Those houses across the road weren't included. This person is having some septic issues, and they have now requested to become in as part of the project rather than trying to reconstruct an existing septic system on their property. Because of the timing of when this came in after construction, the property owner would be responsible to pay those costs of about $13,701, but they would be included in the project at that point. And both of these, as I indicated, are voluntary, and both of them are aware of the financial considerations, either the upfront capital costs or the ongoing monthly rate from here on out.
Okay.
It sounds like you're good with both of these?
We are, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. The engineering committee of the board reviewed it, approved it, and the district board occurred, the first one on October 10th, second on December 12th. The district board approved moving forward with these applications to expand their territory.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do you need a motion for that?
We will.
Okay.
Then is both of these lots, are they just a single lot or are they multi?
Single,
Okay.
single-family residential, both of them.
That's kind of what we were hoping for, is once this project got started, that others close by would come on
Yes,
and help clean up the whole area as opposed to
yes.
coming on later, so.
especially when they, look at the cost of this
Yeah.
versus rebuilding a
Septic system,
septic system on maybe land that they don't even have.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Need a motion?
So entertain a motion on both, if you guys are good with that?
That's my motion. We accept the request.
Okay,
Second that?
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Steve. Andy? Good morning.
Morning. My name is Andy Boxberger, and attorney with Carson Law. I represent Jim Marcaselli. He lives at 9324 East Woodsey Lane on Lake Wawasee. And here to talk to you about some issues that are happening near his home with a development on Crow's Nest, and to try to work with you guys to hope maybe come up with a solution. I've got a few pictures. If I don't, can I pass these out? These were taken in September of this year. And this third picture is an overhead of the development after it was cleared for development, to give you an idea of what we're talking about. I also have a video here that I can show you that will show you what happens when there's a rain event. But the first picture going out there, you can see the amount of silk going into the lake. I believe that Crow's Nest Drive, which is the development area in question, has been taken over by the county now as a county road. I'm going to introduce Dr. Jerry Sweeten here in a minute, who is a specialist in this field and can speak to you about the issues this is causing. But it appears that the road doesn't maybe have the proper guttering and stormwater prevention issues. There probably needs to be some retention to be able to prevent this silt from going into the lake. It's caused a significant issue for the homeowners in the area. The runoff has, when it rains, still to this day, significant amount of silt has gone into the lake for about a dozen or so homeowners downstream. Several inches of silt now ruining their beaches. And we want to try to figure out a solution with the county, with the developers, whomever, to help resolve this issue, because it's a significant issue to the lake and a significant issue to these property owners. If I could just real quickly show you this. You can see, sorry, I had to cut you out. This plume of silt that has gone into the lake when there's a half inch of rain all the way down. You can see that cloud. Can you see that from there?
Yes, you're
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. So,
Thank you, Andy.
Obviously, there's a huge issue here, and it's a county road, so we're hoping that, the commissioners would be interested in working with us to resolve this issue. But I'll let Dr. Sweeten speak to that a little bit more, who's an expert in the area.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I don't know what happened to our summer weather, but it took a turn.
Sun shining, that's good.
Yeah, at least we see the sun.
There you go.
That's right. So I'm a professional limnologist by training. It just means that I study water and streams and lakes, and I own a company called Ecosystems Connections Institute, which is an outgrowth of my work when I was a professor at Manchester College back in the day, where I did a lot of work in the Eel River. And we were asked to come to, several years ago, to meet with the Wawasee Area Conservancy Foundation to look at Lake Wawasee for them. They were concerned about the water quality in the lake, and particularly with emphasis on sediment and nutrients. And I can tell you that for Indiana lakes, there is very little good scientific understanding of our glacial lakes. But yet they bring so much value to us economically and just from having a place to recreate. And so we set up an experimental design for Lake Wawasee, where we have automatic water samplers and a very detailed and robust scientific assessment system set in place for Lake Wawasee. And we just finished our 4th year. So it includes testing water coming in through each tributary, as well as testing water in the lake. I won't go into the details of that for now, but just let you know that's what we've been doing. We have learned more about Lake Wawasee in the last 4 years than anybody has learned about a glacial lake in Indiana, simply because they had the vision to understand that the science needs to be in place to understand how lakes work and how to protect them and to sometimes restore them. And in the case of lakes, as I mentioned, sediment and nutrients, particularly phosphorus, is the death of a lake over time. This process can happen very gradually and chronically. And at some point, that lake will reach a tipping point and become one of the lakes that you may be familiar with that will have excessive algal blooms, sometimes harmful algal blooms. Now, I'm not suggesting that Lake Wawasee is at that tipping point, but it's clearly showing a pattern in that direction. We recently helped the WACF acquire the lake basin to be designated as a National Water Quality Initiative basin through the Department of Agriculture. It's going to bring $1.2 million to cost share with farmers, best management practices, and to help and assist in reducing the amount of sediment and nutrients that enter that lake from the surrounding watershed. It is the first basin in Indiana to get that designation. So we've worked very hard to understand what's going on in the lake. We've worked very hard with WACF to help them acquire resources to help build partnerships across the basin to help protect the lake. I can tell you that in my experience as a professional scientist who studies water, this crow's nest is the most dramatic, I'll call it, situation that I've ever seen. The sediment that's entering that lake through the drain is huge. We haven't measured it because we haven't been contracted to do it, but we know that with sediment comes phosphorus. That's the way nature works. If you see muddy water, there will be phosphorus attached to that sediment. And anything that increases sediment and phosphorus in that lake is going to cause a severe consequence in terms of the water quality. So we always argue, academically speaking, argue for controlling water. Water management is serious business, whether it's an agriculture watershed, whether it's an urban environment, whether it's a development, giving careful consideration to how do we manage the water to minimize the amount of water that goes from point A to point B is critical, because we know that Water's going to go downhill. It's always going to go downhill. And with it's going to be carrying lots of things that can dissolve in it, or sediment and nutrients, plus anything else in an urban environment that might be coming down a storm drain, which Lord only knows what all that can bring. So in this case, and I would tell you, we do a lot of work with IDEM and IDNR. One of the other things we do is we help remove low-head dams. And so we have working relationships with permitting. We have to abide by very detailed permitting with those agencies. And when I started looking at the permits here, there's a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding, and non-compliance with the permits, especially with IDEM on this project, and perhaps with the county. I'm not sure exactly about all of that. But the end result is nature tells us when we get it right, and nature tells us when we got it wrong. And this time we got it wrong. And we need to take some corrective action at the acute level of stopping this water coming through. You know, I've contended from the very beginning, there should have been a significant retention basin at the bottom end of this hill where the water's coming down to capture it. The system that has been designed is simply not large enough to handle the volume of water that will come down through that addition. Now, having said that, of course, it depends on the intensity of the rainfall. But I can tell you with certainty that you get a 100-year rainfall, and that system will be heavily overwhelmed, and then there's going to be the same thing is going to recur. This is not going to go away without some remedial action to change the course where we're going. And I would just leave you with one more thought, and that is, as you look at this from instead of the acute level, but more, how can we avoid this from happening in the glacial lakes in Kosciuszko County, is to take a look at the ordinances that are in place to protect these lakes. These lakes bring a lot of value to us, but the ordinances that are in place in this county could be significantly better to protect the lake from the development that inherently is going to occur at each lake. I mean, we love being around these lakes. We like fishing in them, swimming, and all of those things that bring value to us. But the very things that we value and the very things that draw people to these lakes, we're compromising them by the way we manage landscape around them. So thank you for your time, and appreciate you listening.
You bet.
This is an interesting intersection between science, engineering, and local government doing the right thing. And I hope we get this right. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
I won't take up too much more of your time. I obviously don't expect you to say, yeah, we have the solution right here today, but we wanted to bring this problem to your attention and maybe get a feeling from you of your willingness to work with us to try to resolve this situation the best, and how best we go about doing that.
You know, I know that over the last week or so, we've had multiple conversations about this. Actually, we visited the site, been talking with some of our department heads and kind of walking through that, just seeing what can be done. I know that the state agencies at IDEM have been involved with this as well, from a Rule 5 on the erosion control, and the developer, we've had conversations with them as well. So, I mean, at this point, we're kind of taking, we appreciate you guys coming in and the additional information, the photos, and we're still trying to work through this to try and come up with a good solution, because we realize that these lakes are a huge asset to our community, and we want to make sure we can maintain them for years to come, just trying to find that balance of what we can do to create something that works for everybody there, so.
Okay. We'd like to, if possible, be a part of those conversations, and especially Dr. Sweeten's expertise to help try to resolve this if that's possible.
Yeah, as we get, we'll probably put some sort of a committee together or a group together as we get a little further along here. We're still in the information gathering stage of where everything's at, but as we get further down the road, we're happy to reach out.
Okay, appreciate it very
If you
much.
could get us his name and number or something, that would be
Sure,
good.
I'll email it to Ed if that
Okay.
works. Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Rob. How you doing this morning, Rob?
I am good. How is everybody this morning?
Good.
Sort of
Getting better.
exciting. So the first formal report of the new Parks and Recreation Board, which also wants us to have healthy lakes and streams and things to do outside. So obviously, the Parks Board is brand new. I think our first meeting was in August. I do want to introduce the members that are here. We have Mike Cusick, Aggie Sweeney, and Troy Turley, who's our vice president. The fifth member is out of town today, or he would have been here, and I think that shows you our dedication to this, that everybody wanted to be here today, so you saw that we are really fully invested in this process. And obviously, one of the things we're doing is figuring out who we are and what we are. And one of the things that I think I decided as president is we're going to make an annual report both to you and to the council every year. Certainly, I see all your minutes and I see somebody didn't appear and gosh, we wish they would have appeared. We don't want to be that group. So we're here today and certainly willing to answer any questions or take any comments you have. So our current status is we're working with MACOG to generate our master plan. As you're all well aware, one of the things we were created for was to be able to look at getting grants in, and almost every one of the grants says there has to be one, a Parks Board, and the Parks Board has to have a master plan. Deadline for the master plan that we're looking at is April 15th. We think we're going to meet that with MACOG's help, so that's our first hurdle. And let me tell you, it's been sort of a cannonball process to get there, to get that done, but we are on track for that. We are looking at various things we might do. We'd certainly like to be turning some dirt, but we know we have to secure the funding in order to be able to turn the dirt. So I think that we understand our process in all this. So I just wanted to come today, start creating the tradition of coming before you. Boy, I think we're on track. I'm really excited. You may or may not know, we have a steering committee that's helping us out as other counties have done. We have about 20 people from the community, all the way from Joe's Kids to the Syracuse Trail Group. And if you don't know, we have both the Syracuse Parks and the Syracuse Trails Group, because they're two separate organizations. They're both part of our organization. One of the next steps we're going to be doing as part of our park plan is in March. We're going to have 3 public meetings on the master plan. We'll do one north, we'll do one central, and we'll do one south, and obviously we'll publish those to get our public input. So not just the Parks Board, not just our steering committee, but the community. We just finished up a social media survey where we got 500 responses to a survey that MACOG had put out for us. MACOG reports to us that is a very, very good number of responses for a community our size. So we're pretty excited about that. I don't have anything else. Again, this was sort of a kickoff for you guys.
Good.
Anything I've forgotten from my committee? You guys have any questions? I'll be happy to take them.
I just appreciate you being here. I mean, the dedication of all of you being here, that's awesome. Appreciate all you're doing.
I know that I've been attending most of the meetings and just watching MACOG kind of walk them through the process from a master plan for our parks here, getting good input, good ideas. It's exciting to see us being able to move this forward, because it is something that I think our community, back when we did our Forward Kosciuszko comprehensive plan, that there was a big emphasis on people really wanted that quality of life, those amenities, that recreational activity, things improved in our county. So I think, we're on the right track. I appreciate your guys' enthusiasm, because I know we've been trying to push this thing along to be able to get qualified, to be able to apply for grants here later this year. I know kind of your other next steps is probably an RFP for a master trail and blueway plan. So I think that's something that's going to be on the horizon, that they'll probably be in front of us here soon asking for permission to be able to do an RFP for that request as well. So do appreciate all your guys' willingness to serve, and excited to see where this is going to take us here. I think there's great things to come, so.
Thank you. We're working hard for you.
Thanks,
The
Rob.
only thing I can say is ditto.
Great.
Very good.
Since we have 2 Michelles, I'll say Michelle Puckett.
MP.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody today?
Good
Good,
to see
good.
you.
I have 2 things to present to you today. First and foremost, on behalf of the Board of Finance, that each and every one of you are a member, I have 2 orders of business for the Board of Finance. First, each and every year, you must elect a president and a secretary. Previous years, Bob Conley has served as president, and traditionally, the treasurer has served as secretary. But I would need a motion for that to continue.
I'd make a motion that we continue with tradition.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Bob already agreed prior, so I wasn't putting him on the spot.
Thank you. Appreciate your asking.
So the second order of business is the investment report for 2022. So in 2021, the county earned $386,000 in interest, while in 2022, they earned $1.94 million in interest, which is an increase of $1.52 million. The total interest collected is spread over 12 different funds, with the majority of that being placed in the county general fund. While the county does not currently have traditional investments, we do receive federal funds plus rate for municipal funds in our Lake City Bank general operating account, which is typically 40 points higher than any other interest rate that is available under investments. So we ended the year in 2022 with an interest rate on our account of 4.73%. So we will continue to monitor those rates to make sure we're responsibly keeping them in the account for that investment. If those rates start going down really quickly and we can see that's a new trend, it would probably be wise for us to go forward and look for a traditional investment where we can lock in a rate. But right now, in the environment we're in, when that rate continues to increase, this is the best use to collect those interest dollars for the county.
Okay, cool.
So
And that interest that is collected, does that roll back into the general fund, or where does that?
the majority of that does roll into the general fund. We have other county funds set aside that do collect interest on their own funds. The highway, for example, a lot of our federally funded projects with Title 4D, KCCRVC, they have dollars set aside, so the interest collected just on those dollars will go back into their fund, but the vast majority of that does go into county general.
Great,
Thank you.
appreciate the
Thanks a lot,
update on all
Michelle.
their efforts.
Good job.
Thank you. And the second order of business I have for you is the cancellation of warrants. So every year, we present to you all the warrants that were written on behalf of the county that are more than 2 years old. So if they're more than 2 years old as of December 31st, those can be canceled and those dollars put back into the funds that originally generated those warrants. So today, I have a total of 70 checks that were written prior to 2022, with a total of $6,206.57. And if you approve, then we will get those canceled and those dollars moved back to those funds.
I'd make a motion to approve the cancellation of those warrants.
Second.
All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Michelle.
Keep up the good work.
Michelle? Morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Here to speak to you today, reference the sheriff's sale process and our fees attached to that. If you don't know what that is, it's it's mandated legal process of part of a mortgage foreclosure. When a lien holder needs to get the property deeded back into their name, reference, or in regards to a defaulted loan, they have to legally go through the sheriff's sale process. Currently, the ordinance in place was established in 2005, and the fee we charge is $200. $100 of that has been paid to SRI for legal fees, and we keep the other half to cover our fees. In lieu of House Bill 1048, which was passed last May, sheriff sales through SRI, their fee is increased from 100 to 180. House Bill 1048 increased the allowable fee charged for sheriff sales from 200 to 300. So we are requesting a new ordinance allowing us to change the fee that we charge from 200 to 300 in order to help cover the cost for SRI's fee increase.
I'd make a motion to approve that change in our policy to increase the fee charge for those services.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions or discussion? No. All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Nate's
right.
go take care of that.
Bob?
What? Oh, different Bob. Relax.
Different Bob.
Relax.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Well, every beginning of every year, I try to take a look at the health department's ordinances and the permits we issue, certificates, just try to see if everything's okay for another year. And everything's fine, but our fee schedule has stuck out as being something I think that needs updated. The last time it was updated was 2013. And I don't think anymore that it's reflective of the time and the importance of the documents we issue. And I kind of verified this a little bit by contacting the other surrounding health departments. And they're all quite a bit different than ours. And I know I've submitted that to you and a proposed fee schedule revision. And that's why I have done that.
I know I've looked through that fee schedule, and we were significantly less than a lot of our neighboring counties, and I think your proposed schedule of kind of getting us up still below, in most cases, our neighboring counties, but getting those back up to where it's coming closer to covering the cost of those permits. You know, I'd make a motion that we approve his proposed revised fee schedule.
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Ayes have it.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Keep up the
See you,
good
Robert.
work.
Any other department heads? No. See anybody out there? All right. Marcia? Rhonda? Nothing? All right. I don't see you on here, Ed. Do you have anything? No public report. Okay. Steve?
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Steve.
I bring to you today a detour route. This is kind of the permitting process that we go through when closing a state road, whether it be NDOT or in this case, NIPSCO. They're wanting to use a temporary detour route for 2 to 3 weeks on 900 North from State Road 19 to State Road 15. With this agreement says that any damages that they'll repair. And they've already videotaped the road, so I'm asking permission that that would be granted by you guys.
I make a motion to accept his request.
And Steve, one question on that. If I remember correctly, like on an NDOT detour, they reroute the trucks on their state, or at least the trucks are supposed to stay on a different state route. But this is mainly for the more vehicle traffic detour, right?
Right, so if you get a state job, normally it takes more than just 2 to 3 weeks. So what
Right.
they have is, we have an unofficial detour route.
Right.
They have an official detour route, which usually only uses their roads.
Right.
Does that happen? No. I mean, so that's why they do the unofficial, and they also film it. So we
Right.
kind of use the same practice as we did with them,
Okay.
even though it's just a shorter duration.
I'll second that motion.
I see they go out and videotape that road now, and then afterwards, then they can make repairs accordingly. So that's a good process, I think.
Any questions?
Call the vote.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
welcome very much.
Anybody else have anything come before the commissioners? Not, next meeting is Valentine's Day, February 14th. Don't forget that, everybody.
Don't bring roses either.
Right. Sure, if they